So we're in the middle of Yid Zayin, and it looks like this was such a shock to everyone last time. I didn't realize this was so shocking. So I want to repeat this. We're up to Yud Zayin. My print is 2 fresh Pei Zayin, Yud Zayin. So I want to just start us from the beginning. If you eat fruit at a meal, well, this is typical wedding. I went 2 weeks ago to a wedding, and they gave at the wedding, they gave fruit. As a rule, I was told by experts, but as a rule by me, fruit does not give me an appetite. I lose my appetite. I don't have the biggest appetite anyways, but fruit does not bring appetite. So you sit down, you washed, you're coming to eat the fruit, you have to make a bay privates. Not only do you have to make a bay privates, Rabbi say, you have to make a bay nefashos.
After you washed and had hamotzi.
After you washed, you had a motzi, you had some fruit there, you have to make a bay nefashos. And even if you benched afterwards, you still have to make a bay nefashos. So someone over asked here last time that how about Rosh Hashanah night when you dip the apple in the honey? And so I looked in the Kitzurim. There's a lot of Rosh Hashanah, and I saw they all say don't eat a kazayas. So in Amachzer, you have to make a bay nefashos.
This is the question. It looks like in Perek in city base, it looks like Daled, whatever doesn't say.
What do you mean?
Perek
Dalet, seed base.
Yeah. It looks like he's saying that if you washed after that, if you made the bracha, you have to make a bracha l'fneihem.
We'll see that what it means. We'll see what it means. That's something else.
Okay.
It's totally something else. I know what you mean. So when you go to a wedding, they usually, I asked once many years ago why this happens at weddings. They want to schlep and everyone is hungry. So at the beginning they give them a little fruit and it's not made, normally fruit is not an appetizer. Something, a schnapps, a lachaim, a good lachaim, or herring, believe it or not, irritates the stomach lining and starts giving out things, and that makes an appetite. So the kids, if you come to a wedding, you eat fruit which is not to give you an appetite, then you have to, even though you washed, you have to make a bracha rishayna and a bracha achrayna. So if you eat Rosh Hashanah an apple, if you eat more than a kazayas, then you're in trouble. That's it.
Not in trouble.
You have to make a bay nefashos. Okay.
Why is that trouble?
It's not trouble, right?
But that's only if it's not incorporated as part of the meal.
No, I mean, what does that mean?
Well, if I wash, make a mitzi as part of the meal.
It's part we later learn. That's what the Rabbi just showed. If sometimes your wife gives fruit soup, which is part of the meal, that's a whole different halacha. But here, I'm not talking about fruit soup. You sat down and we ate some fruit there, and you're sitting, fidgeting. That's what we're talking about. They would later learn about that fruit that we gave it. It's part of the meal which normally not given.
So fruit during dessert also would require?
No, dessert does not. Dessert needs a bracha rishayna, first bracha, does not need a bracha rishayna.
So
I don't know.
what's the difference between the beginning of the meal and the end?
Because the dessert is to wash away the meal.
I see.
And the beginning of the meal, if it's made to give you appetite, then you make a bracha. Well, they don't have machlokes. But if it's not made to give you an appetite, everyone agrees you got to make a bracha rishayna and a bracha achrayna.
That's a question. I mean, why would it say not to eat a kazayas? You think not to eat a kazayas and make a bracha?
Yeah, nechanama.
So why is it recommended not to make it?
Just the Kitzurim is not in the Kitzurim is not a proof. Just someone printed it, but he brings down that if you be aware, you ate a kazayas, you have to make a bracha achrayna.
Is that like in the Seder, if you ate a kazayas by karpas, would you have to make a...
That's what I mentioned last week. Where does this whole halacha come from? From the sugya of karpas. This whole halacha is based on the Toises and the Balamur and the Ramban. They all ask, when we make a karpas or murer, where is the bayr nefushes on the karpas and the murer?
Murer is a lot better proof to you because karpas is before you wash.
Yeah, no, but they ask a murer too. So the Toises says murer. There's two. The Rishonim don't say, well, a murer is like They're over trouble. Where's the bracha achrona? Toshi says, since there's a mitzvah to eat morer in the meal of matzahs, that's how it becomes part of the meal. The other Rishonim don't like that. The other Rishonim learn that morer gives you a good appetite. It irritates the lamas. I don't know. Just saying about peh, I don't remember all the shittas. But they don't just sweep it away, and they all had trouble. Why?
The bracha that you make on karpas goes on the mortar as well. Right?
That's one reason, one teretz. And I made
more than a kazayas.
On karpas,
You're
in trouble.
You're in trouble because you have to do a
bracha achrona,
and then your bracha can't go.
Yeah, but some
machlokes go for something if you made a.
That's some machlokes.
Why do you have to make a bracha achrona?
No, but that's a big machlokes Rishonim, a huge machlokes Rishonim. Maybe next week I'll speak about and explain to you all the shit.
Because asking about this, why not just make a bracha achrona? But by the Seder.
Yeah, we have a Seder. That's the kasha with the Rishonim ask. The Rishonim ask why, where is the bracha achrona on karpas and morer? They all ask this. So that's why some say eat less than a kazayis.
Why do you have to make a bracha achrona on the karpas if you know you're going to have the morer later anyway?
So what? But it's nothing to do with the meal.
So, if you're bracha on karpas,
so it has nothing to do with the meal. But it's nothing to do with the meal.
No, I'm saying, why would you have to make a bracha achrona then? If anything,
Right, if you know
Yeah,
you're gonna
all
have
right.
a vegetable
Make a
afterwards.
bracha. Yeah, so but you need a bracha achrona. Where is the bracha achrona? The Rishonim ask.
but Mari for sure you need kazayas of later.
Yeah, but where is the bracha achrona for karpas and morer?
No, I understand the question. I'm saying, why do we say not to eat kazayas of karpas?
Because according to many, that you're not going to have a beneficius on that. Because the karpas has nothing. If you eat a kazayis, you will have to make a beneficius after me, whenever you want, but you're going to have to make a beneficius for that.
So I'm saying, why would you have to make a beneficius on it? If that bracha adama you made is including your mara also.
So what? That's bracha Rishonim. Some Rishonim take learn, because what you just said, since it's connected to the morer, it's a bracha Rishonim, a bracha achrona too. Other Rishonim don't like that. Bracha Rishonim may be right, but bracha achrona not. This is a big.
There's a big hefsek between the karpas and the water.
No, the truth is, if you want to talk about the Seder, if you learn the Shulchan Aruch, you're not allowed to have a big hefsek. The hefsek has to be at the meal, even though the mini goal is to make a hefsek before the meal. Yeah.
So you should really say that on the fast.
First of all, no, I do it fast. Because you have to have, what happens is that you have young children, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So the children have to see the matzahs. They must see the matzahs
I
here.
just want to clarify, when you say fast, when he says fast, I know we're talking about two different
No,
fasts.
I'll tell you something.
I'm just talking
My
about
parents,
say every word.
my mother loved reading paragraphs in English and things like that. And I would always say, hey mom, we got young kids, we got a truck. She wants to read, all these different Salem on, she's reading out in English, whatever, So this is good ammunition here.
Yeah.
Because the
See,
kids have to
I
see
come
it.
from the Daf Yomi. His father comes, and I come straight here now.
If we decide to eat a kazayas of both the karpas and the kazayas, and we say a bracha achrona, are we good?
No. The meaning is not to make a bracha achrona, and this is the question. If you want, I have to look it up. I haven't seen this Rishonim in many years, but maybe it's before Pesach. If I have a chance, I'll look over the Rishonim by next week, and I'll tell you all the different shittas. It's a Ramban, Balamur, but you do see, that's the shayrish of this halacha. They all are troubled. What's the bracha achrona? Only one of the answers is because, like Rishon said, because morer is part of the Suda. Why is morer part of the Suda? It's not part of the Suda. It's a mitzvah to eat it. Since it's a mitzvah to eat it, the karpas bracha Rishonim goes on this, and since it goes on this, it goes. Then the bracha achrona of benching, which goes on the morer, will go on the karpas. But otherwise, if you just eat something before the meal or even in the meal, the Rishonim say, "Where's the bracha achrona of the morer?" And the only answer is, since the Torah says we should eat it in a midrabanan, that's part of the meal. See, there's no. If you sit down,
Part of the meal, because you're eating ultimately, right
Right.
after you finish your Mari, you're doing fire.
and I'm just saying that's what I'm saying. It is because the mitzvah makes it part of the meal, not just it's a mitzvah. But when you eat something that has nothing to do with the meal, you're going to learn later. You have to make a bracha Rishonim. Let me just quickly say a cute story. When we were learning this Birchas Hanehenin in Lakewood, I was a young man. So I said, it turns out, you know in the Halacha well, if you eat pickles, you have to make, and not with the meat, you have to make a bracha Rishonim. You have to make a adoma. Pickles have nothing to do, it's only made to give a taste for the meat. But if you eat nibble pickles, you have to make a bracha. So we Nachreina not, maybe because it's like it washes away the fat of the meat. You eat it. So we
When
have.
you go to a deli in New York and they give you a plate of half-sour pickles, pound.
We don't have to go there. We at home. You eat pickles?
Huh?
At home you eat
Of
pickles?
course.
What did you say?
Of course. dude.
Yes. So, middle of the meal, the question is when you sit and fidgeting and you want a piece of pickle which you didn't eat meat yet, do you have to make a bracha sheni or not? Believe it or not, let me tell you what happened. We sent the shliach to the Moshe, and the Moshe finds and said, you make a shahakal. So we knew that the shoyel didn't. Listen. So we knew the shoyel didn't. The shoyel means the one who didn't ask for it. So I said to the shoyel, don't say pickle. Say igerkes. I practiced with him. In Yiddish, pickles is igerkes. So he went to the Moshe and said, yes. He says, why do you say pickles? He thought you asked me about something being pickled, like a pickled tongue. No, he says, we're asking about cucumbers, what we igerkes in. He says, of course you have to make a bay priadoma. If you don't, it's obvious. I was young, I didn't have the guts to say it without him. But the bottom line is that anything that you eat in the middle of the meal was nothing to do. It's not filling you up. Just a nash. Nothing to do with the meal. You have to make a bracha rishayna.
This presumes after making a mitzvah.
We're talking about after mitzvah.
I'm totally confused about
Lifnei
this.
Asuda. Lifnei Asuda doesn't mean before Hamoitzi.
Rabbi, every person that gets a sandwich at Pico Deli gets a sandwich, corned beef sandwich, and pickles, and let's say coleslaw potato salad. So are you saying that when you go and bite your half-sour pickle, that you have to make a
No.
separate
The
bracha?
salad you eat together. See, if you eat meat, you might put it in your mouth afterwards. The pickle is to eat it with the meat. We're talking about you sitting at the meal at the wedding, and the meat was not being served, or at home, and the pickle was nicely cut, and you're just nibbling on the pickles. It has nothing. Meat has not come to your mouth, nothing, and you're just bored.
You
know.
You washed already, you stuffed, you say.
Well, nothing to do with the meal. If you ate the meat, and sometimes even after the meat, you want the pickles to wash off the taste, the fatty taste, and I enjoy it myself. I know. But I just be sitting there. The last wedding I went, I'm just sitting there, and older I get, the more boring it is. And and when is the chus and kala going to come in? When can I go home already? You know what I mean? So you're nibbling over there, and nothing to do with the meal. Just because there's pickles on the table and there's other things on the table.
I'm not sure I get the full distinction. It's part of the overall meal. You say that they're serving many different items. I'm not going to the refrigerator to pull out a totally separate item that's not part of the meal. It's part of the.
That's a big mistake. Many people say what you're saying. So many people say, so why do you make, the answer to this, we'll get to it later, but why do you make a shahakal on dessert? Many don't, because they don't know the halacha. But it's clearly we're going to learn you have to make a shahakal on dessert. Just because you eat an every meal, and it's part of every meal, it's not part of the satiating part of the meal. So that's why dessert has to make a shahakal.
That's relative. If, for example, you go into a restaurant, an Israeli restaurant, you order a hummus plate. There's hummus and different dips, and it has pickles and it has olives, and it has all sorts of stuff.
But it's made to eat with the bread. That's why you dip it in. You dip this into the bread. You dip it in. But if you just eat nibble pickles,
I just can't see the line when you decide it's one or the other.
Well, I'll tell you when it's separate. You're just waiting around at a wedding. It's very
That's
simple.
exactly what it is, Benny. When you go to an Israeli restaurant, you're waiting for your food. They bring you a little plate of pickles and pickled whatever.
So if that pickles, why are you waiting?
That's what it is.
So
You sit
what?
there and
See,
watch
that chamutzim they give you, should have an appetite. Now, if you're eating it because you want to have an appetite, you make a bracha rishon with eilun and mechloikes.
because you're hungry. You're waiting for your food.
Yeah, but I'm saying, but if it has nothing to do with the meal. If it's not, let's say, if it's nothing to do with it, it's not to give an appetite. You're just waiting around. You have to make a bracha rishon and achrayna. That's what the Rav is saying.
The concept of giving them an appetite, is this a scientific
No.
distinction? Or
No,
is this
I'm a
a subjective
retzacham.
distinction? Like, if I'm eating a pickle at an Israeli restaurant, it's not to give me an appetite. Because I'm bored and I'm waiting for my food.
Then you have to make a bracha rishon and achrayna. Look in the Rav. Exactly what he says.
Even if scientifically it
Yes.
is somehow giving me a
Yes.
better appetite.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Can you do it inside again?
Oh, yes. Zug the Rav. Birchas Hanehenin, eine Patris. No, did I skip something? No. Birchas Hanehenin, eine Patris im Insholish. The Birchas Hanehenin benching does not pater im Insholish. Shem uchel peiris mezayim minem. Lifnei hasuda, before the meal. Lehisanig bevad. To have a tainik. V'loi kedei liftoich b'nei yamayim, lahamshich alev la'achila. not for tonic to give it appetite. She'osem nifturim Birchas Hanehenin, we'll later learn. V'shukach, you did not make a bracha achrona, you ate some fruit over there. V'nanisken at acha Birchas Hanehenin, so relachzer, ilavorech, alu eitz.
What does that mean? Allah eats?
You ate, whatever you ate. You ate Shivas Amining, I'll make a light. You ate grapes before the meal. Yeah, he's talking about Zayin and Meal from the Suda. Suda does not be talking about even he washed.
But this is what he washed.
He washed, and he's waiting around, and he ate some grapes.
And then he benched.
He benched, and I benched. I have to make all the eights, all the pre-eights on the grapes. Yeah, Lifnei Suda means before the meal. Before eating the meal. Lifnei Suda for the eating the meal. We'll see you later.
If he didn't make his main shalosh, and then he goes and eats a steak, and then
Benches. You have to
he
make.
remembers, oh, I never made my...
That's exactly what I was talking about. You have to make a lights.
You do have to.
He ate grapes. That's a good notion. Grapes. After he washed, he was waiting around. He ate some grapes, and then he eats the whole meal. He benches, and then he reminds himself.
Suda means before you wash.
No, Suda means before he ate.
For the meal.
For the meal.
Wash it. You know, it's some bread right when you wash it, Jeff's, and then you're sitting there waiting for your food.
Well, do these,
Pops
What's
up
the
late.
din if you eat before the Suda, they put out fruit, can your motzi cover the fruit?
No,
Just say
no.
before you wash?
No, that we're saying no. But I later learn unless we learn. But he repeats this again in Perek Dalet. Unless it becomes part of the meal. We later learn. If it's part of the wife makes fruit soup. No, there's just not enough attending. It's a fruit soup which is served like a part of a meal. Then we later learn different halachas. But it's just nibbling around because you're waiting and you're nervous.
Before you had bread.
Yes. No, we wash
What if it
even
is
out.
part of the meal, but you just have...
We later learn about it. It talks about it. The Rab talks about it.
Fruit soup, he said we don't have to.
It has different halachas. We got to it. We can't learn everything at once, Rabbi say. So let's, yes.
But do these, like, all these extra brachas count for the Meah brachas that we have to make?
Yeah, sure. Any bracha. Even using the bathroom, you make a bracha yotzi, it's counts with the
Does
Meir
it
brachas.
change if he made a bracha before he washed?
It makes it just worse, not better.
Makes it worse?
Yeah, it doesn't make it better.
On Shabbat, there's people who have minhag, but after they do
They have.
after Shabbos, there's people who have a minhag after they have the kiddush, before they wash, they say brachot on ha'etz and ha'adam.
They increase bracha.
Yeah, but they eat kezayis or not?
So, okay, so from what I learned, that's why I don't want to confuse things here. So, Rabbi, he says if you have not to have a kazayis, but if you do, you still don't say brachot on.
Okay.
I know, I'm just saying, going back to why he was saying, why are they telling
The
you-
smart man knows the secret.
No, because I go back to it still. Why do they emphasize try not to have a kazayas? Meaning, so it could be, because in case you do, you still don't have
No,
it.
it said the Rab says clearly you have to make a bracha chrein.
Well, with this case, before
That makes it worse
it makes
even.
it worse, right?
Doesn't make it better.
So I'm thinking that if it makes it worse then, and he says, you still don't have to do it.
First, I would have to see what he says, and I can't, like today, a Sephardi, a Persian, was asking me about kashing the kitchen. He's a Talmud Chacham. I said, I can't talk for the Persians. You know what I mean? I can't pass him for
Make a bracha ben shalosh on kiddush.
Kiddush is part of the meal. The Rishonim say that's Kiddush b'mukim suda. That's mamish Kiddush b'mukim suda. That's why you don't. That's why it's not a problem. You know what I'm saying?
Washing before the fruit without a blessing.
Washing. What do you mean?
Washing, just eating fruit.
Before the meal, washing until it's dying for the fruit. Yes. What's with that?
Without a blessing.
Right. Yeah, that's a different subject. Yeah. If you eat fruit wet, the Rav is very, very, very machmer. That's kedai to know. Many people are not makpid. The Rav is very machmer, and doesn't have any excuse, and he says it a few times in the Shiurim and the Ruach and in the Seder. And I don't know why people are not makpid that you have to wash. I have a rule. Dry the fruit. Most people don't dry it. I wash. I wash, show my children. They wash the blueberries. I go to the sink and I wash my hands. You know why people are not makpid? I have a rule. Anything you don't make a bracha, you're not makpid. You know there's a din in Shulchan Aruch, and you have to wash your hands before you daven. The Rambam and other Rishonim learn, the Rosh holds you have to make a Latila Sidoim. Do you know that? The Rambam holds that before Mincha, Marev, you daven, wash your hand, make a Latila Sidoim. We don't, because the Rashba disagrees, but everyone agrees you got to wash your hands. Very few people know the halacha. You come into shul, they just slide into davening. Yeah, that's the reason. But I'm just saying it's a very clear halacha. No machlokes. Say what? That you have to wash your hands before you daven. No, we don't. The Svardim make an Atilas but the Mechaber shit is you make an Atilas but they don't even do it neither. Looks like the Svardim don't even do that. But the Maisa, the many Rishonim, the Rambam says.
Fruits that are wet, you don't eat them.
Yeah, with that we have to wash.
You wash like three?
Whatever you wash for bread, you have to wash for bread.
If one wanted to make the Al before davening, is that a bracha levatala?
But no, there are some Rishonim hold you do make. We have a Sofik bracha lekula, so we don't do that. Because it's better not to do it.
You mentioned Mincha Marek, but not Shachris?
Shachris, most people know Shachris to wash hands. That's a funny thing in my shul. Everyone comes to Shachris to wash their hands. Mincha Marek, they don't. I don't know what it is.
Because maybe they go to the mikveh, they wash their hands because of that.
No, even though I see the Daf Yoim, they get up, they go out, wash their hands, and then put on the. I don't know why Shachris in my shul or more the other Chassidish Olam. Yeah, but I don't know what it is. Okay, so let's move on. We cannot learn Kol HaTorah Kula on one leg. So Zug the Rav, Ein Tzorich Loime, Perish She'enim Shiva Saminim, V'Sharoch Mashkin She'Berche Shelachem Barifush Rabbi She'ein Neftorim V'Berche Samuzan. You're not part of Berche Samuzan. That means if you nibbled on herring, it's not gave you a Tavas Achila or whatever. You drank, I don't have a good mashal, but anything you nibble. Chutz Minat Tmorim, dates, Vayayin, you drank wine, Sheneftunim B'Dievet Berches Hazon B'Dievet, Sheberches Hamuzan, L'Fishen Sa'ad Melev Gamkim. That's a Gemara. The Gemara says that if you drank wine, nothing to do with the meal. He ate dates. Dates is Sa'adi Lipchem. The Gemara says, Sa'adi means satiating. So if you bench, you don't have to make a bracha achrayna. B'Dievet. Chechamesh is a minim dugam. Listen to the Rab over here. Listen, this halacha, if you don't know, you're going to fall off your chair. Listen to this halacha, because people do it all the time. Chassidim, non-chassidim. Chen chamishes minim dugam. She'och lifnei asuda, nifti bebercha muzim b'Dievet. Only b'Dievet. That means that if you ate mezoinus and you washed, and you didn't make alamichu, b'Dievet you benched, it's okay. Aval, like a tchila niske koydem berches hamuzan. Tzurich, levugrich, tchila alamichu, koydem berches hamuzan.
Many people just touch it before the washing.
Yeah, I'm saying, see, the hair could be means before the washing, but this is talking about the Amazonis has nothing to do with the Lamoshon. You ate a slight piece of cake before. There are many Hungarians have this, that my father, Lushum, explained to me Shabbos, how the mistake come. And Hungary, in Oberland, that was the place where the Hungarians more, there was no such thing davening 9, 10 o'clock Shabbos in the morning. Daven 7, 7:30 b'Dievet. So they in shul, or they came home, they made Kiddush, they ate Mezonis, and went back to learn. So in America, my father says, what happened in America? America, the bad Mahugim we learn very quickly from each other. So the 9 o'clock minions slid into everyone's lap. So you come home and they made Kiddush, you ate Mezonis, and so the Rav says, you ate Mezonis, if you forgot to make Alamechio, let me just tell you, this happens at weddings. Was it even before the wedding? Yeah, there's another name for the what? How do you say? Hors d'oeuvres. So before the wedding, they give hors d'oeuvres with the dough on the, whatever it's called, the flank. So very often, there's a sheet to make Alamechio. We can later learn that Rav says, if you eat hors d'oeuvres, you got to make Alamechio. We'll later see this, very important Rav. So, no, we're talking about a wedding, emotional. Before, the hors d'oeuvres, you're walking around. Then all of a sudden, you sit down at the wedding, you remind yourself, I didn't make Alamechio. So you didn't bench yet, you have to make Alamechio now.
So wouldn't the smarter thing to do be to wash right away and include the water?
Yeah, but most people don't have bread. So nothing wrong that you nash smorgasbord, you make a by nefushes and al mechir, whatever you eat. That's
So
the story.
basically, you make a mezainis, then you wash, you eat a meal, and then before you bench your
If you remind you, the Chila the Rav says you should make al mechir before you even get on.
Right.
But the Eved, you remind yourself before benching, but if you benched already, no. Geen berges alu eitz val atmul agef al yashim nesidim ein shose kedei legar al hamshich alev laachile koshvat perik daled. If you drank wine and he did not drink, well, a guy wants a schnapps. He has nothing to do with the schnapps that he's drinking to give him appetite. He's just a Lubavitch and likes another drink. So now he drank a revius. You know, Lubavitch revius is very little, 3.3 ounces. I think a Chaim Noah. A schnapps glass is how much? Is an ounce and a half? An ounce, somewhere around. It's an ounce and a half, some of them. So if you drink two of them, according to the Chaim Noah, you got to make a bite in the fushes.
People are machmir, maybe we drink 4 of them. Every day, I'm just kidding.
Can I be yotzi on the kiddush?
No, I'm saying not Kiddush. Shabbos, it's not a problem. But talking about during the week, I've seen these people sit down, with a cup of schnapps, and yeah.
For bringing.
Yeah, so, but they wash it for bringing? No, do they?
So is there a distinction if you, whether it's drinking or eating a mezainis or whatever, even if it has nothing to do with the meal, whether it was done before or after the washing as it relates to having to make the bracha chayna?
Right. I'm saying it doesn't make a difference before, after. If any of the things has nothing to do with the meal.
Like if I'm in the middle of a meal that I washed for already, and some guy walks over, oh, I haven't seen you in years, let's say l'chaim together. And I go and say l'chaim with him.
You drink 2 cups, 2 shots.
It has really nothing to do with my meal.
Now then you have to make a
Right,
bracha.
I need to make a bracha.
You got to make a bracha rishona also. That's probably.
That's for sure. You got to make bracha rishon. Nothing to do. No, bracha rishon. The Rav says later into Santa Minig. He says you should, but it does say the minig is not to do that. The Rav does say that schnapps milami should make a bracha, but they learn that. And the Mishmur says you do need to make a bracha.
If you remembered after you already benched Birchas Hanehenin,
You have to make. I am not sure. I have to see the schnapps. I don't remember. I knew the Mishmur says you do have to, and I think the Rav says later that you don't. Am I correct?
Correct. What about bringing the schnapps?
He says he says in the Shulchan Aruch he says you do have to, but over here he changed his mind.
so there's a difference between
Why do you say
schnapps
Dalet Zayin?
and mezainis, basically, as it relates to making the bracha chayna.
Yeah, but that according to the Rav, even according to the Rav, but the Moshe you just gave, you have to make a bracha rishona and a bracha achrona. He's only talking about you drinking anyway, so you might. Yeah, but this drink has nothing to do with the meal. But if it's not Namshtar, you do have to make a bracha.
What about the schnapps after eating the fish?
That is a toffel to the fish. That is a toffel to the fish.
There's a purpose. It's to wash it with
To
your
wash. It's part of the meal. But if he gave a good marshal, the guy comes in, whoa, I haven't seen you, let's drink a l'chaim. Nothing to do with the meal. He would drink it without, then you have to make a bracha rishona, and if you drank it, you have to make a bracha achrona.
And if you made Birchas Hanehenin already,
You have to make a bracha achrona on that schnapps.
You might as well drink another schnapps.
so one second, so schnapps, you're saying you make your bracha chayna even after Birchas Hanehenin.
If it was
Whereas
nothing
with
to do with the
you
meal,
don't.
right? Mechinat. But if it has nothing to do with the meal. Remember, it has something and nothing to do with the meal. But if you're drinking anyways in the meal, and it could be a tuffle, he says later. But if it's nothing to do with the meal, nothing to do.
So theoretically, you could have a scenario where you have drinks that are part of the meal, and then other drinks that are not part of the meal. And what do?
So you have to make a bracha rishona achrona. That's what the Rav's opinion later. Yes, we'll get to it later. He has a whole Perek about it, Mamish. It's just not. You don't learn. You don't know. That's all what it means. In Yiddish, man lernt nicht, weiß man nicht.
If you're not drinking at the wedding, but they're serving alcohol at the wedding. I'm personally washed, I'm eating food, but they're serving alcohol at the
But
wedding.
if it's part of, all that,
Walk past the chassan, he says, say l'chaim.
let's learn later. Later he explains that it's okay. But he has a whole arichas about it. Let's wait till later. Okay, let's move on. Berches alamichu any poet teres berches by nefushis rabbis, obviously. So you make a berches alamichu, and you happen to also, let's say after Kiddush, and you drank some schnapps. Many people don't know this. I watch this. I watch this. Many people who make next door, and they make Kiddush and schnapps. I already tried to convince them that the Rebbe alone said not to do it, but they still do it. I don't want to say the name. You always make Kiddush and schnapps. So according to that, if you make a bracha achrona, you bench. You have to afterwards. I'm talking alamechio. You have to make a b'nei nefushes. Many people don't do a b'nei nefushes.
On Kiddush, on whiskey.
I'm talking about Kiddush on whiskey. But not that. But if let's say you Chabad drink, right? So let's say you made on wine. So if you made on wine, you don't have to. If you drank the wine, but if you didn't drink the wine, in the middle he's going to say that. Let's say the Baal Mekadosh, the Rabbi makes Kiddush on wine, and all of you drinking now schnapps, and you had 2 shots one after another. And now you have to make a b'nei nefushes after you make alamechio. If you didn't drink from the wine, you have to make a shakal.
But if you drink from the wine,
then you drink when you don't make a shakal, you make a b'nei nefushes. We'll soon see that. Many people don't know this. I say it in my shul a few times every year. You understand what I just said?
Say one more time.
Let me make it simple. If you drink, if the schnapps on the table, you make a b'nei priya gufen, then you don't have to make a bracha on the schnapps. If you drank, the b'nei priya gufen. But I watch very often the Baal Mekadosh, the Rabbi makes Kiddush.
And then you eat a cracker.
And no, not that. And no one drinks wine, and everyone has a schnapps. I often notice they don't make a bracha on the schnapps. I don't know why. Not a bracha Rishon. You must make a bracha Rishon if you don't drink wine.
What if you eat the zonis first?
Doesn't make a difference. You want schnapps. You want schnapps. And now that you drank, let's say 2 shots one after another, where you have to make alamechio, and you have to make a b'nei nefushes. Unfortunately, I looked at the shop. What? Mezonos. You ate mezonos.
Mezonos that you ate, okay.
And you have to make a b'nei nefushes on the schnapps. Very simple.
you make him very guffen if you're not the one that made Kiddush?
Well, that depends on minig. Some people, you don't have to make a b'nei. If the guy makes Kiddush, you don't have to make a b'nei guffen. Just drink. Right, but if you drink wine, then you don't have to make a bracha shahaka.
If you make a bracha.
Right.
I'm just asking the bracha on the Kiddush.
No, if you drink from the Baal Mekadosh, you don't have to say a bracha.
You don't have to make a bracha if you had a mind to be yotze the Kiddush, the bracha.
Just on shahaka.
Right.
But if you drink,
Right.
it's not Kiddush.
Right. Okay, lefikach, Birchas, then he says, so Bekitzer, if you ate an apple and you ate a cookie, you have to make alamechio and you have to make a b'nei nefushes. Lefikach.
This is just because shahakol requires a grain of flesh.
Correct.
Nothing to do with whether you're eating it to be satisfied.
Oh, correct.
Correct. Things that have certain brachas have certain apples.
Right. The fikach kodu v'shin istapik b'bechosi have a suffering in the beruchim en gimel. You're not sure you have to make a en gimel. B'nei nefushes rabbis. V'roitze la'ach l'shloi b'toch hasuda. Sometimes cereal, it's hard to figure out. It's alamechi, the cereal. Is yoichal imaduva sheberchuse b'nei nefushes rabbis. Eat something that you have to make a b'nei nefushes. V'duva sheberchu b'nei en gimel. Moisamin shin istapik goodbye. Let's say cereal. I'm going to give you a mashal. What? Oh, you do rice. Kigon. Im stopping with taf shemru levorach achrich alamechio. A body of fushes rabbis. You're not sure you make alamechio. Yoichel mina mezonis. Eat mezonis. We do rachish boichel fushes rabbis. Bavadai. Something that you have to make. We vorach alamechio. A body of fush rabbi. Point the taf shemru manushach. I don't have. Besides rice, I don't know. Rice, he said you can make a. Yeah, but rice you don't make alamechio. You make a body of fushes anyways. I don't. Anyways, so. But the bottom line is, that's not so common to us anymore. Now he says, "V'mistapik b'pri." Also, I don't understand how the suffix is. In Meshiva Samina, you're not sure the pri is Meshiva Samina. Imagine. Yoichel pri achash imizayim milbadai gurich aleitz pri weights yutzigam pri zem munavshach. Rabbi I said this last week. If you make aleitz pri weights, you ate an apple and grapes. You do not make a b'nei nefushes. No, we spoke that last week. If you ate grapes and you ate an apple and you make a bracha pre-weights, you do not have to make a b'nei nefushes. So he's saying, if we stop the shivas to miyopish mizayim bevadi wirich ala eitz for pre-weights, you say pre-weights mamonav shecha b'yoytza. But ain't you don't need anything else. Because when you make, let's say you're not sure what bracha to make, if it's for the Shiva Saminim, if you eat Shiva Saminim, you're yoitza on this no matter what. Very simple. Because if it's not Shiva Saminim, you're yoitza reitza prietz. So Shiva Saminim, yoitza reitza prietz. Av eilo pri achar, eilo itkuna, doesn't have a ticket, al dish ishte yaim wurde gegeben lechel tef shel khamesh mini wurde gal mich lichle eats on priwates. But I gave on balamich kala sufik. He says like this, what happens at boy sai, a different snare. What happens? He has no idea. I have a hard time imagining such a thing, but he has no idea that what's his name? This is from the Shiva Saminim.
He never saw a fit.
So there's no eitzah he should drink wine or eat alamichu and then say al eitzah priwates monov. Because we don't add a priyetz on a suffix, he says. Don't do that, he says. If you're saying anyways al-mich, you're right, but do not go say al-mich and add al-priyetz with tam suffix. That's what he's saying. Oy, al-mich al-suffix, lo yichlene betoch se avim kvad uchel mitte lekololoi bebruch al-suffix.
Then you do it.
Yes.
What about the grapes itself? Are all grapes, I don't know if we addressed this last week, are all grapes Rachman Shalish, or is it Dafka grapes that...
All grapes, raisins, all grapes, all grapes, all grapes. Yeah, all grapes.
What about a fig Newton?
What's a fig Newton?
It's a cookie with a fig filling.
It's like a cookie with fig inside of it.
Is it real fig dough?
It's baked together. It's baked together. You only make out of vitamin mizonis. It's eaten together. But I don't understand.
It's hard to make a charosis. It's out of dried figs.
Okay,
It becomes a paste. It's hard to tell if it's what it is.
But if it's out of cookie with a fig, then you make only mizonis. But I did on that. We spoke about it last week. Remember? Let's focus over here. Let's move on. Now, this is very important. Halacha and Shabbos at the meal. Hayayin, not just Shabbos, at the Kiddush. Hayayin hoy v'rosh l'chalamashkin nepoita b'chusa b'chol min hamashkin. If you make a bay pia gufen and then you want to drink orange juice, you do not make a bracha on it. He says, "Bay mebrucha reshoyne shishakal niyabed vuroi." You don't make a bracha reshoyne. Imoy mashkin lefunov kishabirich bay pia gufen or shoy daita leim nishtoysav ashloy daita lepot meferish niftir memela. You understand what he's saying? If I make kiddush and the juice and the soda's on the table and the schnapps, then I don't have to make a bracha on it. But let's say it was not on the table and I had a mind, then I don't make. But if it was not on the table and I had nothing in mind, then if you bring the schnapps or the orange juice, you do have to make a new bracha.
Even if you're a guest?
Even a guest doesn't say this. By the way.
You don't know what's coming.
Yeah, if you had nothing, if you didn't, it's if you're a guest and you think it might be coming is one thing. You thought that there's not coming anything. You just
What if you knew that it was coming, but it was like a coffee for dessert?
yeah, but we're talking about you make a baby piguf and you knew it's coming now. What other drinks?
I
Yes.
know that at the end of the meal they're serving coffee.
Yeah, that's okay. But talking about you're not on a meal. You're sitting, you're schmoozing and drinking wine, and all of a sudden they bring in other drinks. Didn't expect it at all.
Beer.
Yeah, but I didn't expect anything. You have to make a bracha.
So Rabbi makes a kiddush. I'm including myself, he's including me, but I didn't get to taste his kiddush. Do I have to make sure on all of the...
That's a very important question what he asked, and I remember well. Now look, you understand what he asked? He asked, the rabbi makes kiddush, and he makes a bay pia gofen, and he's yotze with a bay pia gofen. And the rabbi has no intention to drink anything else. He's not such a Lubavitcher, he's not going to drink schnapps. Well, the other people are going to drink some booze afterwards. So can he be better than you understand his question?
The rabbi doesn't have intention, you're saying.
The rabbi has no intention, but he has
That's
doesn't.
a problem for everybody else.
Yes. It seems from, I have a raya someplace.
Problematic rabbi.
Yes. So it seems from the Achronim that no, it depends on you. You could be Yotze Bei Pri Gofen, but you could.
Should I physically taste his wine to be able to...
Yes.
So if I can't get his wine, then I have to make a separate...
Of course. If you can't get his wine, you're drinking schnapps, you have to make a shakel.
So I'm including myself, he's including...
Yes. Yes.
Like, you know, the
Shulza put out little wine. Sorry, the Shulza put out little glasses of
Wine.
wine. Yeah, every person.
That's every person has to take. Otherwise, you have to make it by Perek. It's a mitzvah to drink from the Kiddush wine, so that's why they put it out. But you don't have to. But if you didn't,
In that scenario, you don't have to make a bracha.
right, you drink the wine, you don't have to make a
Even though
bracha.
it wasn't from-
One of the two conditions, either it was on the table or you had in mind.
Why is it a mitzvah to drink from the Kiddush wine?
Because that shows the Chaviva mitzvah, Rashi learns. I say Chaviva means the love of Kiddush. You want to respect the Kiddush.
So if we cover up the wine, obviously, when you make a bracha, so that all the wine is. But if I have my own, if I have a cup of wine.
You cover the wine? Why do you cover the wine?
I cover the wine when you make
Why?
a Kiddush. Why? Because you don't want to make a bracha on the wine that's in the bottle.
Well, you're holding the cup, no?
Don't we cover the wine? We cover the wine. We put a cork in the wine and make a bracha. For Kiddush.
Not a mazal, that's a different subject.
Okay, but the point is, if I'm holding a cup of wine, I have to actually drink from his wine.
No, if you have your own cup, you don't.
So my wine can be.
You have a mind his by Perek, you could drink your wine. Yes.
You can't hear his bar crack up and drink your.
I don't know if you know there's a new inn, maybe not in Chabad, that you sell the kuss and it has a bunch of kusses around it.
Yeah.
But you know where, a fountain. You know where this comes? Because the Vilna Gaon learned Pshat in the Gemara, not just Amini Rishonim, the Ma'atrele Kasa, that you bring a small bunch of small cups.
6.
Well, the Gaon says 6?
Yeah.
I think you're right. He says 6 cups, right? That's right, 6 cups, you noticed. And that comes in, and just saying, that everyone takes a cup, that's, and it's okay.
Now, are you allowed to say Great Perek after the Rabbi's kid?
There are Hasidim who do not want to be Yotze the Bei Perek, which the Mishnah Berurah screams is wrong. And I think the Shiurim also says it's wrong. Shiurim says you have to be Yotze the Bei Perek from the Mekadosh.
And so you should not say you're
Right. In Chabad, they make a Bei Perek each one separate. The Yotze.
I mean,
Yeah.
I might make Kiddush separately, but that's
Something else.
That's something else.
No, but if I'm Yotze on his Kiddush, like I've now made her Kiddush, I do not say my own bracha.
But if it takes me a long time to get to his wine, there's a.
Hefsek.
How much time do I have before I?
I didn't realize you have thousands of them down in
No, but if you have a small cup of wine in your hand, when he makes his kiddush, you just drink it, and then you're good.
If I don't.
He's saying that,
If you're Yotzi on his Kiddush, and then we bring out schnapps, make a shackle. If later on somebody brings beer, you make another shackle? Or no?
If you had in mind,
You didn't have in mind.
if you had nothing in mind,
You have nothing in mind. You don't know what's coming.
By Lubavitch, nothing, if he didn't have in mind not to drink it, he had in mind. No, I'm saying that he's going to drink
no, but
it.
this is another halacha, nothing to do with this.
You had
This has to do, let's say, this is another halacha. Let's say drinking tea. And why drinking tea? Some brings you orange juice. Do you make a new bracha on the orange juice or not? If you have leftover with the tea, you don't make a bracha on the orange juice. That's a whole another Perek later. Now it's hard to learn everything. It's going to be too confusing. Let's just focus on this and we'll get to that there.
Just while we're on this topic, just last question. I noticed by some shuls, in whatever, a lot of the modern Orthodox shuls and things like that, when they make kiddush, probably practically makes sense. Before the guy makes kiddush, they pour all the little cups. You have like a big tray of little, little things of grape juice. The guy makes kiddush, and then everybody takes a little cup. Whereas, like in Chabad, they don't usually do that. Usually, the guy makes kiddush, and then he pours to everybody from his cup. Is there any distinction between the little cups that are there, sitting next to the guy making kiddush, versus the wine that's actually?
Says in Shulchan Aruch clearly that either way is good. Chabad says clearly the meaning was that he would have small cups in front of everyone.
And we're pre-poured.
Pre-poured. Which type in Shulchan Aruch?
Say, I'll pick up all of this in, you make a bracha on something.
On Pi Kabbalah, just the opposite. I think on Pi Kabbalah there should be the 6 cases around. I don't know why I developed this non-makbid. On Pi Zoya, I think it should.
But,
But it has nothing to do with
those pre-poured cups, when he's making the bracha, is he not making the bracha on those as well? Or is
He has a
it
mind of everything.
So you're saying because he's not holding it, that's what you're saying?
Yeah.
All the things that Shanaim, Tzaddik, and Arabim give a kosher bracha, he used to give people from the wine.
Yeah, but not talking about, I know, but if the rabbi didn't make it, the rabbi is a tzaddik, we're talking about a simple person made it. Okay. So anyway, it says, "V'bein Bruch Achroina and the Bruch Achroina nifteri b'berch al gefen afre b'inyan shitz the Bruch Aleim Bruch Rishon shakani b'dvorik al shloi lefuna v'kshebira b'yipri gam lo yozeh daitaleim." Rabbi say, what happens? A very simple motion. A guy, listen to this. A guy made a b'yipri and he didn't have a mind for the schnapps. Schnapps were not there, and they bring him. So he made a shahakol. When you make ala gefen afterwards, you don't have to make. That even though you had to make a Birchas Hanehenin under the thing, but it comes to ala gefen, you don't have to. You don't have to make a benefushes. I sat down, I drank wine, and then someone brings me schnapps. I don't like to drink schnapps. So I made a new bracha, because I had not a mind. And now when I make ala gefen, I don't have to make a benefushes. Now, there's a huge machlokes. Mishnah Berurah argues with the Seder Rav. The Mishnah Berurah says that in order wine to patikal a mashkin, you have to drink either mula miligmov, or you have to drink a reviz. The Rav says mufurish that it's patas with a mashi wine. So according to the Rav, I drank a mashi wine by Priya Gufen, I do not have to make a bracha any other mashkin.
And according to the
Mishnah Berurah, you have to drink a mula ligmov, not to make another.
Let's say so you don't. According to Mishnah Berurah, then what? You make.
According to Mishnah Berurah, let's say I drank a mashi wine, I would have to make a shahakal on the schnapps, or the juice, or the soda.
And what about on the?
I'll give you mashi. You're sitting at the table. I'm just saying, you don't make it because there's too little wine. Let's say.
You only make a
let's say that I'm meeting Shabbos and Shul. Very few people take the wine kiddush, just a few people sit in front, but the rest just start eating cake, right? So now, a guy, according to Mishnah Berurah, a guy took a drop of the wine. According to Mishnah Berurah, you have to make a shahakal on the soda. You have to drink a molalugmov. The Rav clearly here says not that way. If you drank a little of the wine, if you just drill over the wine, you don't have to make a bracha on the schnapps and anything else. That's what he said.
You don't make?
No, you make it by the fushes.
You don't make it all like that? No.
If you drank less than a sheet.
If you didn't drink it.
Right. Im Shusa yain puchs mashir avius. He says shein tzurich v'urich aleu shein tzurich l'vurich la'achrov. You don't have to make a mashar mashkin. Shusa avius. Yivurich lachem b'nefushes af imi bein shto b'urich v'nei shakal nibed v'roi. So b'kitza, if you drank just a drop of wine, and then you drank your schnapps or soda, you don't have to make a bracha rishayna, but a bracha chayna you have to make on the bari fushes.
Is there any distinction between wine and grape juice? Like if the rabbi's making kiddush on wine, but you're drinking grape juice, it's all the same, right?
All the same. Okay. So,
What if you have just a taste of wine that a rabbi gives you, okay, not a reviz, okay, and then you have crackers, so you're sitting on all Mickey anyway. You still don't throw it in all this?
you don't throw it in, correct. So the Mefurish Shechon noch not to throw it in. Zog the Mechaber Birchas Hanehenin min ha-Torah. We say benching is min ha-Torah. Ein elek shucha pas kedei svia. If you satiate you, kamash chalta svot v'rach d'chum tokni v'rach fil ha-kazayis. So it's min ha-Torah, you don't have to bench eat a kazayis, so you bench if you really got satiated. Savatu. Now, I want to explain this since we have a little time. This is the famous question on all the cakes. When do you make on the pizza, on the cakes, and on the lakshan, and on the blintzes, and you'll be shocked how machmeh the Rav is. I used to think that Lubavitcher know this, but Lubavitcher don't pay attention. The Rav is extremely machmeh.
Pay attention, pay attention.
Okay, so he says like this. It says, only bread that normally eat. Which I will explain. So you know the Svardim, only the Svardim, you see the Rav clearly does not hold that way, but the Svardim during the year when they eat matzah they make a mazonis. I used to have a Svardi in my Chabur Lakewood. It was like a shekel ahachas, He said on breakfast, and he was saying, I'm a tell, he used to tease us. And he took a matzahs and a vitamin and mezainis. Because the Sfardim during the year don't make a motzah on smart. They hold matzah is not something you would normally eat during the year. Since that's a mezainis. Now the Rav does not.
During Pesach it's considered bread, but
during the year,
it's considered like a cracker.
Right.
What about matzah balls?
Matzah balls making mezainis for other reasons because it changed its form. We'll later learn about that. Matzah balls. Do you know what the boy said? Do you know where matzah balls comes from?
Hungary.
The matzah balls is old as old is, and it comes from Pesach. Because everyone, the Gans Klal Yisrael ate matzahs, they took the whole matzah balls for all year came from Pesach. Because what could you put into the soup? Only matzah balls. So then came the Magid, the Tamidov, and they didn't want to eat gebrachs. But the whole matzah ball comes from Pesach. I want to explain, you know where pizza comes from?
Romans.
No, the Romans. No. Pizza comes, the Portugal Jews who came to live in Italy, and they would call it, they say, we say a tough and a sof. Real Svardim say a tough and a thof. So a pita bread was pita. And on Pesach, they would take the pita bread and they would make a pizza. Pita. And they're going around, you know who writes this? Someone showed me a Goyish cookbook. Rabbitson Landau, Yaina Landau's wife showed me this. A Goyish researched it and he finds where it was quoted the first time. The pizza was made in Italy by the Portuguese Jews. Came to live in Italy. Well, but this, it's not right, but Klal Yisrael.
So according to this, you have these like wheat crackers.
So we'll later get to it. Yes, I just want to say that there's many cloths. I just want to say that the rule of the thumb is something that normally you don't eat. But the Rav does not go with such. He learns differently. But many Achronim held any bread that normally you don't eat as a meal, that becomes a mezainis. I'll give you a matzah. Okay, let's finish. Unless you eat, but later learn how much that's a lot. Unless you shik v'yisir, the hanik shish rabben unikov see the she see this erev v'oiker al shir kazeh mistam lechin gomer. That means you have to eat so much cookies and so much bread and so much of that. How much you would be in the morning and evening meal. I don't know. V'gam lachmen ilik yishachn shik zeh lepum ozikom see the ulav v'chen ab mishach l'su the arev lo'isuva b'shizeh batla daitoy. So if you eat a shear, I remember my father Lushum used to tell us, if you ate 3 pieces of kokosh cake, it's Hungarian, cake, he made us wash and bench.
Before you ate the cake, or
before we ate the cake?
What if you don't know?
Wait, Rab talks about it in a minute.
So just to be clear, something like a breadstick, normally.
What's the breadstick at the weddings? They serve breadstick.
They serve at the weddings very often on the table. It's actually bread, but it's kind of small. It's like a snack on it. It's kind of like a pretzel.
Well, it's bread.
No one's usually being convinced on breadsticks. So is that something you would have?
That would be the machlokes we were doing right now. How it's made and the machlokes in there. So the Sfardim learn that they don't hold it to machlokes. The Sfardim learn it as a general rule. Anything that normally you don't eat. But we Ashkenazim and the Shtebruder and the Shulchan Aruch and the Megavrom don't learn that way. They seem to say that it's a machlokes Rishonim and has to be distinctive. According to us Ashkenazim, you must wash and bench a matzah during the year. Yes.
Are we now trying to figure out what they held to be compared to at the time of the Gemara, or is this something that changes?
Changes. I'm sure it changes. Changes, but yes, it changes in the times. Yes.
I looked at pizza. I'm not finding. I'm just saying. It says the Persian soldiers used to bake pizza.
Caesar salad.
They learn about it. Talks about it later. We can't learn everything at once. So let's divide it. B'shizeh. Now this is a famous Rav. I want to tell you something. This Rav is his own opinion. Nothing to do with Achreinim. And he must have wrote a tshuva about it. This is in the Shulchan Aruch he doesn't say that, and right in here he does say that. Now b'shir zeh rubi boideis ilamasa yeshnikol sheoichel mikashesh beitzim beininus. You know, our eggs, what you have at home, are jumbo eggs. Do you know that? I didn't know that, many, many years ago. I went to a farm and I know that he says, a guy tells me, your eggs, what you eat is always jumbo. Because we Americans like jumbo eggs, but most eggs are not so big. Most eggs are beininus, it's smaller. It's shesh beitzim beininus, and amal at chatzi asoren, ulei al bechlal, im iloi suva memeni, yivorach hamoitzi al kazayis techem achat chila, I want to tell you something. You're not going to remember this. He has a whole formula over here that have how much to eat. He says if you eat 4 beitzim and you really get zat, you're satiated, then you should wash and bench. Then better, he says, to make something else. But from 4 above, if you eat, which 4 above, many people could eat bread from 4 and you can satiate it, it's better to eat other bread, but if not, you should wash and bench.
Volume or weight?
Beitzim is the volume, not it's the weight, I'm sorry.
8 ounces.
It's the weight, not the volume. Yeah.
So if you eat 8 ounces of mezonos?
It's a little bit more than that. According to Chaim Nuah, it's 2.5 ounces. 2 ounces? 2 ounces. I thought something like that. It's 2 ounces, then about 8 ounces.
What are we saying about eggs over here? We're giving a measurement?
The measurement.
Something that's not the rubble to be kaveh suda if you eat a certain
No,
amount.
2 ounces is a kazayas.
No, 1 ounce is
Zayis.
1.2, right.
What's it? So
Plus 6, 8, yeah.
4 eggs worth of mezainis, we're saying requires washing and
Like
benching.
a tchila, you should eat another bread and wash and bench. Look at the last line. He says, if you eat dollar beitzim, then you should really wash and bench. It means on 4 beitzim already, if you eat cake, let's say the rogalach, you know what the rogalach is? This chalk rogalach. If you eat 4 pieces of it, you should wash, and you're going to get filled. Depends on the person. Then you should wash and bench.
2 slices of pizza?
1 kazais of pizza that Rav says you have to wash and bench.
So basically, women should wash all the time.
What?
Women should wash all the time because they get filled. No, seriously.
No, well, we don't follow. Well, they have to 4. You have to have 4, otherwise bottle dies kaludam.
So pasta?
Pasta is not bread. See, I want to explain this whole thing is
What's bread? Pretzels are bread?
pretzel. It has to have its sudas. Pretzels are bread. Bread is bread. Cake has.
Oreo is considered bread?
Yes. And what's the name? Elchonon is not bread. And what you just said? Elchonon. What else do they have? The oatmeal. All these different types of pasta is not bread.
So how do you define suras habas?
It looks like it's a baked object which could develop a crust.
It looks like a baked item.
Maybe that's crust. So young people like to eat cookies, like the nash.
Right.
So if you eat 4 rogalach, according to the Rav, you have to wash and bench.
If you fry bread, it's not considered bread?
But I had to learn about it. It's a bit
One
machlekes.
small rugloch is a kebab?
It's almost a bay. Yes.
You eat like a big muffin,
There's big muffins, right? That's another motion. You go to a bris, you don't want to wash. I watched this. You go to the bris. Last time I was at a bris, and the guy next to me ate 2 or 3 of these English muffins. I didn't say a word because I know he was going to listen to me. But
The best diet is to look at halachas.
what did you say?
The crouton and the salad.
We'll get to it. Yeah, we'll get to it later.
Really wash on that.
What did you say?
One of these big muffins that you get.
Yeah, I'm taking a muffin. This English muffins, it's extremely satiating.
Yeah.
What's that? There's a distinction. You're saying an English muffin, which actually looks like bread, versus a muffin, which looks like dessert.
Rabbi said English muffin is not bread. That's why.
No, it is bread. The English muffin is a.
OUD, we were saying they make English muffins.
That could be because it doesn't look. It looks distinctively its own type, but it is a huge cookie. And the English muffin they serve the brisen. I mean, you know, you've seen that. And a guy doesn't want to wash, eats 2, 3 of them, you got to wash and bench.
But on a regular cupcake, muffin.
The small ones.
No, a regular muffin has the top.
Frosting and everything.
No, not frosting, like a breakfast muffin.
Talking about the breakfast muffins.
Those are not their cake.
They're cake. And if you eat 2 of them, you really get full. I tried it out.
Right. People eat them for breakfast, you have to wash.
You have to wash and bench. 2 of them for sure is the shifo beitzim.
So croissant.
Croissant for sure you have to wash and bench if you eat 2 croissant, that's your breakfast. You know, my daughters used to tell me that in school all the girls get away with this and they have to suffer. The pizza and all these things.
Cereals like Weetabix and stuff.
No, cereals and not Swiss and ham. All cereals, and besides we talked about the Cheerios home claim, but any cereal, all the cereals that you eat, the Wheaties and what you just say, what? All mazonis.
So, but if you're eating that's not considered surah sapat?
It's not surah sapat. Lakshan is not surah sapat. All the pastas and all pescetti.
The cereal bars.
What is cereal bars?
I don't know, they take cereals
Like a granola bar.
and they like a
Like,
it's like a granola bar, but it's lasagnas.
Yeah, granola bar doesn't look like bread. Doesn't look like.
Doesn't look like a Michael.
And it's not baked even. I asked them how it is. They do it. They don't even bake it really. They asked them Yankee how to
Well,
do
now
it.
they have these, they're not like granola bars, they're really they're thick, they have volume, they have weight, they're big.
So if it looks like bread. And you
It
eat
looks
it
like bread?
You gotta wash.
No, it looks like a bar. I mean, when you say that bread has volume and depth and
It does have a crust. Does it look like a crust? What does it look like?
it looks, I'm trying.
What if it's coated
Someone
in
get a
chocolate?
picture. Get a picture of it.
It looks
Like a candy bar.
It looks like a candy bar, it's the same size, it's about that big, but it's a filling
Protein bar.
It doesn't look like bread.
No?
What about these muffins, like you go to coffee, and tea?
Right, you get these big muffins, you ate 2 of them, it really fills you up, you have to wash and bench.
Eating one muffin is enough to fill.
Well, 1 muffin is a question. Yeah, this is, he says, the Rab says 4 beitzim, but for less than 4 beitzim, a Yerushalayim, he says, should be careful. He says, he says like this, he says 1 English muffin fills him up. According to the Rab, you should wash it something else, eat a gazais, and then eat the English one. You should not eat the English one. The Mishnah disagrees. I want to just tell you something. The Mishnah holds, the other Chachamim hold, that if it's less than 4 beitzim, you don't have to wash no matter what. But the Rab is machman here. Rab is machman says you should wash real bread if you eat less than 4 and it's going to be satiated.
In this case, if you had a bunch of cake and you're full, you're saying if you want to be full, you should wash, have bread.
What happens better? I remember my brother asked me this a long time ago. One of his sons, he likes, I'm only eating 1 piece, before you know it, the cake is gone.
Right?
So now
So
Especially with Schwartz's alligator
what should you
cake.
do? At that point, what do you do?
you have to bench.
No, only bench or you have to wash?
You ate already. It's too late.
Should you wash on some other?
The Rab speaks about it later. Tomorrow,
So
next
then
week, see
you make a
this.
Birchas Hanehenin.
You make a bench, yes.
So what does this mean? You brought up a nice left.
Yeah, but what happens, I said this is the beginning.
Does that mean?
That means like he says he goes to Starbucks, gets an English muffin, and really fills them up. Going to the Rav, get yourself a kazayis bread, wash and out an English muffin. That's what the Rav said. Now others disagree with this.
Now, what if you started eating? You said how mazonos, and then you started eating.
So the Rav, the next species speaks about it. We'll get to it now.
Right here.
No, that's the next one. Ain't a silver min lechem zilvade. Now let's finish this. Let's finish Gimel. This is another shocker. Ain't a silver mamuzen zelechem zilvade. Sheoichelem liftem hamazbiach koshem lafes babuser adogim kyoitzebem. Yehed Neil. Oish silver. Ach silver. Reize ki ili silver mani levad. Yehed boy say. You have a thin this cake, whatever dough, and you eat with it. Yeah, I don't have a good mush, but you eat with it some cheese and some other things. If you shall lift them, tefillah, and schreiber chemuzim and atoil, if you have oichel bedal beitzim, memin lechem zeh, you lift them. So you eat with the liften this type of bread. Lamoshel matzahs, according to the Svardim who claim, so if you eat any of these bezoinis we're going to learn later, and you ate together with cheese or meat, whatever, all together, you have to wash and bench. We can see big Chadushim. You wait till you. Hope you're going to show up to him next week because big Chadushim he has later. Okay, let's stop.
So what's this?
He's saying if you have, I don't have a good notion, but you have one of these cakes.
Sometimes serve crackers and cheese.
Oh, that's a good notion. Crackers at the Derbs, they serve crackers. You put the liver on it. You put some egg salad, and you got full with these crackers with the liver on it. It's very filling. You have to wash and bench. That's a very good notion. This is a very good notion. What he just said. I watch my at the hors d'oeuvres. People eat these crackers with liver. It's extremely filling.
How many of those do you have to eat before you have to work?
Well, if you eat the sheep, 4 beitzim.
The total, what is that, 4 beitzim of the
Together.
So it's not about, so even if there's only 2 beitzim worth of
Crackers, but together. So if you eat 4 crackers together with the thing, you have to wash and bench.
After you've already eaten all of it, no one gets it. It's like 4 or 5 crackers.
I don't know what? 4 or 5, right? You had 4 crackers, 4 or 5 crackers with liver. It's very filling.
So what if you started though? You said zones, and then started.
He says it. That's the next he talks about.
So Rabbi, if you're eating enough crackers and you know you're going to fill up from it, you wash and you make a